Welcome, all you fabulous wellness warriors out there. My name is Nirankar, and I am here in southern New Hampshire. I am so delighted to be here with all of you tonight. I first want to say happy equinox, happy balance of night and day, happy balance of masculine, feminine, and just honoring that cycle of nature. So we are having someone's having trouble getting on. So if I could just speak to that quickly, if someone you've invited is having trouble getting on, just work that out with your phone. You go into boards and send them the link again, and it will work out. Because I'm going to continue. So we get together every Thursday night to share both this exciting health transformation opportunity that I am personally so proud of from many, many angles, and from the angle of conscious business, a company that I can believe so deeply in, and also from the standpoint of health, like an intense capacity to heal our bodies, and while in touch with healing the planet. And so each week we have a little different theme, and this week we'll be talking about aging gracefully. It's kind of a carryover from last week. Last week we started this conversation, and it was so rich for so many of us, that the opportunity that we have here and its capacity to really expand our life on so many different levels to really address what appear to be aging I'm gonna say opportunities for our culture. So I think you'll find that there's such a deep connection between what we're sharing here in the form of aging gracefully and how we nourish ourselves on all levels. And so what you can expect is that there'll be a 30 minutes where we'll dive into some health stories, some aging gracefully health stories. And then for the second 30 minutes, there'll be an opportunity to go deeper into aging gracefully wealth stories. So if you're interested in the health, but not necessarily the wealth, then please feel free to exit at that point and touch base with whoever invited you here. But if you're interested in all of it, then I really encourage you to stick to the end. So I'm just going to share really quickly a few pieces that I loved from last week to carry over into this week's topic. We covered so many parts of aging, from inflammation to acidosis in our system, to why our joints and our endocrine system and our nervous system start to sort of wear down as we age. And it's actually a choice. So just like anything else that we kind of give up our power to or lay victim to in our life, the aging process is another one of those, where we get to take charge. We actually get to make choices and take our health in our own hands. And the aging process is the same. And so last week we had some amazing guests share about how the superfood products that we have access to have really changed the inflammation and the acidosis in their life, in their bodies, and that they have experienced more energy, better sleep, better joint function, like so many aspects of aging that we just think are a part of the process, we heard stories about the aging process actually being reversed. And so that was, and I'll just share quickly a bit about my story. I was at about 30 or so, I really had a dream of completing an Ironman triathlon. I wanted so bad. I had completed a half Ironman, and I knew that training for an Ironman was a lot of training. I mean, this was my 30s. I just turned 51. Well, I'm about to turn 52. So this was a long time ago. But I noticed that when I would train hard, my body was like, no, thank you. And I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Maybe we're not meant to do these long distance events. And that was really my thinking. Like, maybe the people that do them are crazy, you know, maybe we're just not meant to do that much to our body. And so I was like, okay, I'll back off. But the more I backed off of exercise, the more the littlest thing I did would create pain and discomfort. So I just thought, oh, okay, maybe that's the aging process. I ate organic. I did sort of these juice fasts and these detoxes, sometimes a month long. I felt like a very healthy person. But at so fast forward, my daughter was born. I had a beautiful pregnancy, loved being pregnant, but I did not have the milk supply that I needed for her. And I haven't really told this story yet, but I was 38 and she was not thriving because I was so attached to feeding her simply breast milk. I wanted no part of formula. It really was not a part of my reality. But I did not have the breast milk I needed. So it was another indication, really, that my endocrine system and my health was not really where I wanted it to be. And by the time she was here with me, I was unable to fix that part of our reality. So I did find the healthiest formula on the planet and ordered it online, and that was a part of our reality together. But I did nurse until she was 3.5. So I found a way around it, and we worked it out. But I want to really come back to about 2.5 years ago when I was introduced to these superfood products. And suddenly I felt my energy coming back, my joint pain going away. So many aspects that I thought were a part of my aging process were actually reversing. So I had that personal experience where I can now run again. I can do long distance hikes. I can do long distance bikes. I can swim without joint pain. There's so many things that have happened in the last 2.5 years inside my body that now if I wanted to train for an Ironman, I think I could do it. Like that, I feel that powerful a lot of the time. So I want to pause for a second and welcome. The Zoom says owner 2016's phone, and I just want to welcome you and have you maybe pop off mute and let us know your name so that we know who it is. Would that be possible? Okay, if not, no problem. If you're hearing this throughout, then you can either type in the chat and we can rename that for you, or oh,
Nirankar, it's Melissa. Can you hear me?
Ken, hey Melissa.
Oh, okay. I'm having some technical difficulties, but I've been listening. So no, I'm not some creepy bot. I'm here.
Yay. Okay, I'm gonna ask Tal, my co-host, to rename your your screen so that we know who you are. I'm so glad you're here. No problem. So I would like to, it looks like Bev, I would like to introduce some of my guests because I just think that the more stories we can hear and connect to around this, the better. And so I do want to specifically say that one aspect of what we're talking about is a transformation called the ultimate lifestyle transformation. And so if that is thrown around here in the group in the next few minutes, what that is a group of 5 plus an immune product. So it's the ultimate lifestyle transformation plus an immune product that has really changed my life and changed the lives of many, many of my clients, my customers, and my friends and family. And so we will, whoever has invited you here will have the details to that. But I wanted you to know that for this first 30 minutes, we are talking about a group of products that has taken out the inflammation, taken out the acid, and made our bodies more alkaline, and really helped us to feel better, and in some cases reverse very serious conditions. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you, Bev. I've been working with Bev for about 6 months or more now, and I would love for you to share your story. I think that we both came across an influencer out there that we have in common, and so I know that Bev's approach to aging is really aligned with mine. So I'd love to hear your story, Bev.
Thanks, Nirankar, for inviting me here, and it's such a pleasure to be in this crucible. It's a crucible. And I met Stephanie at a medical freedom rally in March or April. And I sat right next to her, and it was such a pleasure this last Sunday to reconnect with her and to actually go to a fire pit on a friend's land and be again with like-minded people. And so my story starts quite a while ago. About 6 years ago, I connected with a holistic psychiatrist called Dr. Kelly Brogan, and I followed her protocols, which really improved my energy levels because I was having trouble getting out of bed in the morning, struggling with brain fog and mental cloudiness, not being able to think straight. I had chronic constipation most of my life. And, I just was unable to shake off a feeling that something else was contributing to my anxiety and depression. And removing gluten and dairy, corn, soy, and sugar were really instrumental in getting my gut and incredibly my mood back on track. And Nirankar mentioned the ULT. She also mentioned that she had been very physically active, as have I most of my life. I've had some back issues, so I now just do walking and yoga as best I can. But I have an 82-year-old mother who still does yoga. She still does shoulder stands, and so she's a wonderful role model for me. And we both have been on these incredible products. And one huge improvement for me has been my gut function. Just the cherry juice, the apothe cherry, which is so delicious, and the Biomedic, which is our product that removes glyphosate, have really changed my gut biome, and I don't have constipation anymore. And I've really been able to, with the aminos and the Power Shake, I actually prefer the super meal, so I trade that in because it has a higher protein content, but it's so full of adaptogenic mushrooms and seeds and wonderful nourishing oils. And they've really been able to sustain me. I don't have to snack in between meals. I call it putting a log on the fire instead of throwing small bits of paper and kindling at my day and having to snack through the morning. I don't have to do that if I have my super meal smoothie. And I've always eaten organic food. I have my own garden and grow many of my own vegetables and some pretty flowers too. And I really believe that it's helping both my mom and I to be healthy in our aging process. I don't feel old. I'm going to be 62 next year, but I feel like I can function and cope with my day as easily as I could if I was in my 40s. I don't feel 61 at all. So I don't know if you would like me to contribute anything else, but
No, that's great. No, thank you. I do want to highlight something you said, Bev, and for those of you who don't know what glyphosate is, I just want to pause a minute and maybe add that glyphosate, what Bev spoke of, is an herbicide that's widely sprayed and on our crops, on our farmlands, on our it is in Roundup, and many conventional farmers have used that product since the 80s. And so it is now so deeply embedded into our food system that it's very hard to avoid it, even with organic products. And so organic grains often have glyphosate in them. And so what it does to our farmland is exactly what it does to our gut. It actually deteriorates our gut lining. And so what Bev spoke to is that one of those 5 products or 6 products actually that we're referring to is the only product on the market that has been certified by a third party to remove glyphosate from our system. So it helps to really heal our gut, which is part of what reverses the aging process so beautifully. Once the gut is working at a more optimal level, then our hormones can balance, our inflammation can be reduced, and our acidosis, our alkalinity can be increased. So thank you for mentioning that, Bev, and throwing that little nugget out there. Oh, funny. Please, Tal, invite your mom so that we can all have our moms here.
She's missing medication. I got to go get her.
Oh, okay. So thank you, Bev. Thank you for sharing that beautiful health story. And then I can't wait to invite my mom, Midge Roberts, to the mic. And I would love for you to share your story, Mom. First, I just want to share that my whole life has really been about health. So much of what I have received, I've gotten from her. Growing up, I remember being the one who wasn't allowed to have sugar, but I kind of thought that was pretty cool. And I was, she would give us these little sugar-free like candies, and I was like, oh, those are pretty good. And so all along growing up, she always was interested in a product that was going to really keep her vital. So thank you, Mom, and take it away.
Hi, everybody. I'm Midge. The funny thing about what Nirankar just shared with you is that isn't always my recollection as I made sugar-free cookies or made bread or took the fruit that we were eating and made the fruit sheets or, whatever. So it's really funny. I'm glad to hear that now, that during the time that I was struggling with trying to figure out how to feed my 3 daughters and myself and our family better, that I wasn't always feeling like I was swimming upstream. So that's interesting. I thought a lot about what I was going to share tonight, and I have decided that I'm talking about my journey. I was going to share, how I started out with learning about the health of our soil, the health of our environment, and how that was deteriorating, and not understanding that all the time, because it didn't seem growing up, through my growing up, that was a problem. There wasn't any understanding of that. And I think Bev talked about how old she is. I turned 75 in July. And so I think during my early ages that really wasn't a problem, that it was something that didn't start happening until later in the 60s, or it was happening, but that it wasn't as prevalent. So as I began to understand what was happening to our environment and understand what was happening to our food, I became very concerned about that, with having 3 daughters and knowing that this was a problem. So making that struggle was something I was glad to have happen. And then it didn't really, I kind of went along with changing my diet, changing the diet of my daughters, and knowing that I wanted their diet to be much more full on vegetables and than mine was. This may sound very strange, but I never tasted broccoli, and probably until after I was in college. My diet consisted of meat and potatoes and, let's say, green beans, lima beans, corn, and peas, carrots. I didn't have any other vegetables. I didn't understand about any other vegetables. So that was an enormous increase in understanding of how important greens and vegetables and those types of things were for all of us. So I guess my real involvement in my nutrition and my diet began in 2004. And at that time, I figured that out. I was 57 years old. And I got up one morning and was making lunch to take for my husband to take to work and for myself. And I was having numbness on my left side, which became quite frightening. So I called my physician and went in to see her, and was told to wait a minute because she had something she wanted me to take. And then when she came back into the appointment room, what she said to me was, "I think the possibility of you having a stroke is something that I'm sending you to the emergency room for." So did they call the squad? Did they do anything? No, I got in my car and I drove myself to the emergency room. While I was in touch with, I'm not even sure that I don't think I had a cell phone. I don't remember. Got in touch with work and told them that I was in the emergency. I probably used the phone in the emergency room, and then the process began through EKGs, MRIs, TEEs, internal, external, all that. What it ended up being at the end is the neurologist, did I say that right? Yes. Said to me, and I believe Nirankar was in the room when he said this to me. He said, "What are you going to do when we can't find anything wrong with you?" How do you respond to something like that? Oh, I'm going to do a happy dance that there's nothing wrong with me? Then what? Why is this happening? So at the same time, I was also seeing a massage therapist, a sacrocranial massage therapist, who said to me, you need to see my partner, who is a nutritional chiropractor. And I went to see him, and I wasn't in his office for very long. And he was examining me and said, "You're toxic on some metal. I don't know what metal you might be toxic on, but you're toxic on metal." So then you begin to take a journey about what that might be. And through that time, we worked on my adrenal system, my gut health, and after a period of time, I was tested for what metal it was. And what was also happening for me at the time, which I think is very important, and I didn't really talk about that. I was also having trouble with organization in my head. I worked as a therapist, and I did lots of presentations at schools for different organizations in the community about mental health, about addiction, and working with kids in the schools. I could no longer do a presentation. I would have trouble organizing it and figuring out where I was sometimes in the presentation during that time. So after the test, when the test came back, what it was is I was off the charts with lead. And then the next question that everybody asks me, and I don't have an answer for it, is why were you so toxic on lead? I don't know. It could be my age, and that the understanding wasn't at the time, or it could be, it can be passed down from mother to fetus. So I can't answer that question, but I knew that at that time I was 57. At the age of 60, my mother began to manifest some of the same symptoms. And then she was diagnosed with dementia, which I question, and we'll never know the answer to that question at all, about what was really wrong with my mom. So then we began.
Mom, can I jump in here for a second?
You can jump in anywhere, because this is difficult, a difficult time for me. Go ahead.
I love the depth of your story, and I just want to highlight that it's most of us don't know if we're toxic in heavy metals, that we can go for a long time. And just to kind of lay out a bit more foundation, the protocols, the foods that we're talking about naturally help the body in its detoxification pathways. And so I don't want to interrupt your story too much, but I do want to respect everyone's time and say that we normally shift to the wealth transformation at 7:30, but I would love to just have you.
Well, I can speed it up.
Yeah.
I can speed it up.
I would love for you to share, like fast forward about 6 months ago or 9 months ago or a year
Okay.
ago.
Mhm.
Thank you
So,
so much.
as my adrenal system and the 9 months of removing the metals, I started on using supplements and protein shakes and all of those. Then a year ago or so, I was looking for a different type of protein shake. That's when Nirankar introduced me to the products, the ULT, and the products that we're talking about tonight. Since that time, I have been amazed at how much improvement my health has made, even with the years that I have taken protein shakes and used different things, that it's all come together with the superfoods. And I think for me, that is the key to all of this, is using the superfoods, because they're whole foods and they all work together, rather than this is for this and this is for this and this is for this, where this is a holistic way of looking at your health and moving forward and changing what's happening to you. I want you to know that for my birthday, I celebrated the one thing that I've loved in my life is water skiing, and I slalom skied for many years. And for my birthday, 5 days before I turned 75, I slalom skied, and I hadn't slalom skied for 10 years. And that was an enormous, enormous celebration for me, and realization that there is no, we set our own barriers to getting older, and that aging is something that's in our heads, and that we can do whatever it is we want to do, especially when you're surrounded by supportive people, and that you're doing and feeding your body the way it needs to be fed. So that's my story. Thank you, everybody.
Amen. Thank you for sharing. I can tell you that I was in the boat when my mom was water skiing. And so I just have to say really quickly, I didn't even try slalom this summer. I was like, I'll just go 2 skis. And then she was like, I'm gonna do slalom, and it's hard to get up. And there she did it. She's so strong. It was really awesome. I want to highlight, I want to shift into this is a perfect segue to shift into our wealth opportunity, because there's so much in our society that is based on, from a public health standpoint, that we enter into the working world and then we put in our 20, 30, 35 years, and then we retire. And I watched my mom about 4 years ago be like, this doesn't really work for me. And so I'd love for you to share a little bit more about that later, Mom. But the whole idea of aging gracefully from a public health standpoint, that taking care of our health is so important for the longevity of our wealth, not just our financial wealth, but our absolute joy, our absolute happiness in life, our ability to enjoy our grandchildren, enjoy our children, do what we love. And so much of our society expects to retire and grow old. And I have a mentor that speaks really beautifully about this whole transition of life, that some people expect to just play bingo and die in this typical uninvolved with society kind of way. And what we really need in the coming years are elders who we can really rely on, an intergenerational system that we can support them and they can support us, and from a public health standpoint, it just makes so much more sense. So what I feel is a perfect segue into our wealth opportunity is highlighting that aging gracefully we have the capacity in older ages to contribute, to really contribute, and not just feel like you don't have your voice isn't important. It's actually more and more and more important. And so what we have here is an opportunity with unlimited financial potential. It's really dependent on how much you want to transform personally, how much you want to transform your own health, and therefore your own ability to step out of your comfort zone, to actually be who you were meant to be, to live your purpose, to really begin to stand up and believe in your value in society. And so this kind of direct selling network marketing model gives each of us the capacity to be exactly who we're meant to be, exactly the way we're meant to be and thrive. And so I would love to bring Bev back on and just have you, Bev, begin to share some of how this model has been expanding your understanding of what's possible in your life.
Sure, thanks, Nirankar. I studied to become an integrated nutrition health coach in 2019. And in 2021, I lost my job that I had been in for almost 20 years in biotech. And this was a perfect segue into getting a health coaching business up and running and to use the Purium products with my customers, with my clients. And so this is where I'm just starting out. I had a launch of a 3-week program today. It's going to start in October, but I presented it today, and I'm loving the fact that just through general conversations, I've managed to recruit two customers to using the product, and got a fabulous testimonial from one of them yesterday. She's young, she's lost 22 pounds, she has lots of energy, and it's a small contribution to my bottom line, but it's a beginning, and I'm very hopeful that I can use the products to improve my clients' health.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bev. Thank you. It's I know that in my own coaching business, I really saw how undernourished, we're kind of a culture of being overfed and undernourished on so many levels. Our own self-care, our ability to really tap into the power of deep whole food nutrition leaves us in a state of depletion, particularly as women. We're often caring for everyone else before we care for ourselves. And I know that I noticed that in my own coaching business, and was so deeply grateful for products that I believe so deeply in, their quality, the business model, and the fact that I can be a part of changing a whole business and health paradigm just through of greater magnitude through my coaching business, just more involving more and more and more women by expanding my influence through this model. It's really been such a gift for me. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's so lovely to have been part of your group, and to watch you just in the short time that I've been part of this group to see how you've grown. It's really been heartwarming
Mm.
and encouraging. Thank you. Inspiring.
Yeah. So, Midge, Mom, I would love for you to come off mute and share a little bit about your experience in retirement and the change that this opportunity has given you.
Well, 5 years ago when I retired, who knew where the world was going to go at that time? And, I had all these thoughts about traveling and seeing my daughters and my grandchildren and enjoying all this. And that came to a halt, as all of us. It came to a halt for all of us. And then I had to deal with myself. And in retirement, it was like, oh no, all these years, for all those years, I worked with, helping other people change their lives, all of that. And now I didn't have a purpose. And where was I going to go? And what was I going to do? Well, I had to find that. And I have to say, the products, the superfoods, all of those things prepared me physically for making those changes that needed to be made in myself and reaching out, not always easily, sometimes kicking and screaming, to an enormous team that surrounded me and that brought me into working this business and understanding it. I had worked in this type of business before, but never had gotten the support or the love or the care that I have gotten here, and the understanding that I have gotten here, and the ability to be authentic and who I am, and to discover my new purpose in bringing this to the world around me and talking. In fact, today I had lunch with two friends, and then I went and talked to some other people, and driving back to my house thought, this is exactly what I need. I need a purpose in sharing this and helping others become who they already are, but are not sure. We're like parachutes. We don't work if we're not open, and we're not open to what's around us and what goes on in the world around us, and talk about that and be open about who we are. So this has given me that opportunity, and I am even more amazed when I make financially when I move forward, and it's been a gift, and I feel very grateful and blessed to have it in my life now. Retirement was not what I thought. So I say, don't be afraid, move out, talk, say what's in your head, be authentic, be bold. I like that. I'm going to put a shirt. I'm going to have a shirt. Be bold, because when you're bold, other people are bold too. And I think we all need that. So thanks, everybody.
Beautiful. Midge spoke to two pieces that I really want to highlight. One is community. Like this model, it is built on the idea that we rise together, that we help each other rise. And so that community aspect, particularly during the last several years where isolation was suggested, to have a space to come to that was so supportive, so educational, and so inspiring, has really changed this superfood business in and of itself. Just completely exploded at a time when businesses were being shut down. That we were providing the answers for a health, the true foundational health, and we were also giving people the opportunity to bring in extra income at a time when certain jobs were pretty uncertain. So I have just loved that community aspect, Mom. And so I wanted to highlight that is a part of this amazing opportunity. You have access to fantastic, absolutely fantastic trainings from a business perspective. If you want to learn business of any kind, like, this business helps you really step into that for yourself and become an entrepreneur as you were meant to be, from a very feminine standpoint. It's an entrepreneur from an intrinsic place, not from some outside idea of what we think business is. And so I'm grateful for the business coaching, for the support, for the mentorship that this provides. And the second thing that you mentioned, which just popped out of my head, I do want to highlight being open, because I really feel that part of the internal gut, we have two brains, and our first brain is actually in our gut. And the relationship between this analogy of a parachute being open, that when we begin to heal our gut microbiome, we actually think differently. And so it gives us the capacity for transformation. And that's really what Aging Gracefully is all about. The aging process is so much more fun when we can be open to what's true and around us and in front of us, and be open to support from, particularly, as you can see, other women. Like, that's what I love about this business. And it wouldn't be bad to have a few guys in the mix, but it's really cool to experience this sisterhood. And so those two things, the community, but also the capacity for deep transformation, that is wealth building, it's legacy building. My daughter is experiencing she's experiencing the realness of holding her own value in an entrepreneurial sense, in a way that I never had modeled to me. Like, no judgment, no problem, no issue. I'm glad to be here. But she is learning how to care for herself in a different way, just because this is who I am, and this is who I am here in this community. So let me just share quickly a bit of how it works. If you're here and you're curious, you're like, wow, this really sounds like something that is an answer to my prayer, then please reach out to the person who invited you, and they will help you get your own gift code. It's a discount code that then you can share with your friends and family to try the superfood products, or to then also help others jump into the business side of things. And I adore being in service to women's health. Like, that is my mission here. It's always been my mission. And so ultimately, I want people, women, to feel better. And so if you are passionate about helping people have better health and possibly gaining another stream of income in these uncertain times, then this is a perfect no-brainer. And so by trying the products, you can join the business and get your own discount code. And that's essentially how it works. And then you're definitely welcome to all of these trainings and to all of this juiciness that you see before you. So I'm gonna pause and see if there are any questions, any other comments from the field, and then we'll close our space. And again, whoever invited you here, if you're curious about either the products or the business or both, then reach out to them. And if you're not curious, and so any questions, I'll just be quiet. Right. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here. I know that your time is important. Your time is important to me. And so I really honor that you chose to be here with us for this full hour. There's so much more we can say about the magnificence and the vibrant space that we all hold together. And but I'm going to close our space, and we'll be in touch. So thank you so much. Take good care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, wherever you are.
Thank you.
Namaste.
You too.